when I came here and looked at the room, it did have a mic. It no longer has a mic. I have been asked to channel or rechannel my voice as an old teacher. But because I grew up as I became a Baptist minister before I turned 18, I don't have to channel that voice either. So. I asked him not to give me an introduction because I didn't think it was particularly necessary, because the only thing that really matters to me is that I'm a father of 4, a grandfather of 3.5, and I'm still on the planet. So here we go. The letter of James, the brother of Jesus. For centuries, upon the death of Jesus, first-time readers of the gospel might have anticipated that Peter would assume leadership of the new movement among the Jews. Because the book of Luke makes it clear in the first verses of the 8th chapter that female disciples financed the itinerant mission, modern readers might guess that Mary Magdalene would have become the leader. Jesus was ahead of his time, but his followers would never have submitted to having a woman take over the leadership upon his death. It was James, a brother of Jesus, who led the new community of Jewish believers. His subsequent marginalization was due first to his frequent clashes with the more popular Paul of Tarsus, who had never met Jesus and was introducing concepts that were foreign to his understandings and those who had followed Jesus originally. The second reason for James being discredited was the divided vote taken at the Council of Nicaea in 325 that declared his mother Mary to be a virgin. If there is a heaven, and they were looking down, I'm sure Jesus, James, the other siblings, and their daddy were shocked at that vote's outcome. To the Jewish community that followed Jesus and James, it was crucial that the Messiah was a descendant of the house of David. And those of you who are familiar with the Bible know that it was the father, Joseph, who was that descendant, and not Mary. James, the first leader of the followers, had such impressive piety and commitment to social justice, I want you to keep that in mind, that he was nicknamed James the Just. It was in reference to James's murder by those in power, whom he often criticized in scorching terms, that Jesus' name first appeared in the historical record outside of the Bible. Josephus, the Jewish historian, responsible actually focused more on James than he did on his brother Jesus. Keep in mind, Palestine was occupied territory, and neither Jesus nor James were collaborators with the Romans. When they talked about the need for a Messiah, they were not talking about a piece of pie in the sky by and by. What purports to be the letter of James was probably written by one, if not a cohort, of his disciples. In keeping with the times, it was credited to James. The letter was true enough to James's teachings, which in turn were sufficiently consistent with those of Jesus to win acceptance in the community of Jesus' followers, that even the Palestinian Christians could not deny its place in the canon. These Bible half-hours are about James, but they're also about you. We are living in an age when increasing numbers of people are finding religion to be irrelevant. In the 52 years that I have been a minister, which includes 50, nearly 50, as a recording minister, I had practiced applying biblical teaching to modern struggles. In that vein, I have written over 1,600 modern songs. Most of the Bible is written about the deity. I have read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation at least 9 times, and I have read the Gospel of James, and I have read the letter of James and the Gospels, 700 times. Therefore, my Psalms are influenced by, although not written in response to James and everybody else who has written in the Bible, but more importantly, as a friend to my experience of truth. They were written to the Holy One, not for an audience. You can jive many people, but you cannot jive God. As we progress through this week, I'll give some summary of this every day because I know how we are. We're going to flow through, we're going to flow out. Some people will not even show up until Friday. That's fine. I have no trouble with it. If I did, I would have left the Religious Society of Friends a long time. Then, without commentary, I'm going to read twice a selection of James, followed by a query for quiet personal reflection. I'll break a brief period of contemplation and move on to the next selection and stop before the half hour ends. We will get as far as the Spirit allows us to get. Feel free to leave at 8:30. I'll remain behind should anyone want discussion. I'm reading to you from my Psalm 68. I have arrived at the appointed hour only to wait for those scheduled to meet me. Sometimes my greeter has expected someone of another race, or much older, claimed to be held up in traffic, or to have fallen asleep. I am not an innocent. Only you can count the many times I have failed to answer your call. In the midst of reflection, I close my eyes and sense your smiling spirit. Forgive my self-righteous impatience. Accept my sincere intention to be at your service in all seasons and at your chosen hour. From James. James, first chapter, first verse. A slave of God and of Jesus, the Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. My friends, count it all joy when you fall into diverse trials, knowing that patience is taught through your faith, and passionate patience finishes the healing, that you may be perfect, not lacking in anything. Again, the first 3 verses of the first chapter. James, a slave of God and of Jesus, the Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. My friends, count it all joy when you fall into diverse trials, knowing that patience is taught through your faith, and passionate patience finishes the healing, that you may be perfect, not lacking in anything. Query. What is your reaction to the fact that patience and passion have the same root, and that united they lead to perfection? my Psalm 101. With tongue in cheek, you ordered physicians to first heal themselves. We are incapable of healing anyone without your assistance. For our part, fools focus on themselves, even as the wise study you. I see my temptations. They walk boldly, barefoot, over pointed nails, or on formal days in wooden clogs, clomping loudly in each step. They act like commanding officers, determined to be saluted on sight. When they are tamed, it is by appealing to your strength. You are the one who restrains these bullies. Thank you for your patience with my wayward soul. James wrote in first chapter, verses 13 through 14, "Let no one say about temptation, I am tempted by God, who cannot be tempted with evil nor tempts. Each of us is tempted by our own lust. Let no one say about temptation, I am tempted by God, who cannot be tempted with evil nor tempts. Each of us is tempted by our own lust." The query: consider a personal temptation you've overcome and one with which you continue to struggle. Those who have heard me speak before know that I am wont to go off script, and I am so doing right now. I try to pray constantly, which actually, as you may know, comes from Paul. I have not rejected all of Paul. I rejected major portions. So one day, I was upset with my father, who had a serious alcohol problem. And in my life, I might be able to point to less than 25 times that I've actually heard the voice of God, and this was one of them. I was told, "Why are you so hard on him about alcohol when you are the same way about sugar?" Now I know that there are some people who think that God does not give you crunches. You're wrong. I have been crunched many times, and that was one of them.
Excuse me.
My Psalm 58. Moving toward reconciliation. Years after the stabbings, my back is almost healed. I sing as a survivor. Thank you for being patient with my weakness as I carried a weight that tempered my joy much too long. Instead of searching for revenge, it is healthier to forgive myself for trusting the unworthy. It is possible to abandon bitterness and strip the forces of division of their fearsome power. Together, we have the ability to heal much of the world. James wrote in chapter 1, verses 19 and 20. Therefore, my beloved friends, let each be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to seek retribution. Being vengeful obscures God's righteousness. Therefore, my beloved friends, let each be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to seek retribution. Being vengeful obscures God's righteousness. If seeking vengeance is one of your struggles, how do you self-discipline? Why, how does vengeance obscure God's righteousness? If seeking vengeance is one of your struggles, how do you self-discipline? Why or how does vengeance obscure God's righteousness? I had set as a goal for myself to do 3 sections each day. We have 8 minutes? Somebody warned me that folk are inclined in Bible half hour to walk out early. I am never someone who enjoys seeing somebody walk out early. At my mother's church, we did not go to the same congregation. There has never been a Quaker meeting in my hometown, although there are 50 within 50 miles. And my family can trace our Quaker history back to the 1681. I was not at my mother's church, but this was reported by several people. One of my first cousins had to go to the bathroom, and he got up in the middle of the pastor's sermon. I do have more patience, so maybe I love James more than he does. I did, because he's dead. I have more patience than he, because he called the boy out while he was going to the bathroom. He said, "Boy, where are you going in the middle of my sermon?" And needless to say, all of those in my family, and I have over 500 people still living in my hometown, so it may have taken 750 then. And we're not equally split, but pretty well split between two congregations. But everybody in my family was embarrassed. And since we had been taught never to talk back, he could not explain, "I'm about to wet on myself." He just came back and sat down. I didn't want to call anybody out, so I did not. So I'm ending early, but giving you today, I may not do it tomorrow, I make no promises. I'm giving you today the opportunity to ask a question, or since I've been among friends for lo these many years, I know that most questions really are statements when they're coming from Quakers. Yes.
I actually have a question. What translation are you reading from?
Okay, that's a good question. I usually, 99.9% of the time, I will use the Jerusalem Bible. I have worn the cover off two of them, and one I still use. I'm using the Scholar's version of the Jerusalem Bible. One I still use, even though my wife gets upset when I come with a coverless Bible. But I bought a new one. And it's the new one that I brought with me today. So. But I am not wedded to all of the words that it's used in the Jerusalem Bible, because there is sexist language in there. And I'm not inclined to use sexist language, so I will clean that up. And so you can say it's the Jerusalem Bible, but you can also say it's Dwight's. I'll take one more, and then I will let those who must flee leave. And I told you I'm going to stay. Yes.
I'm really interested in your thoughts about the relationship between patience and passion.
We are, my wife and I are blessed with 7 kids between us. And I have 4 biologically, she has 3 biologically. One of her sons writes for a forgiveness letter every year. And in one of his forgiveness letters, he pointed out that they have the same root, that patience and passion have the same root. And that was a gift to me. I write historical fiction, and once, before I started writing the first book, I asked my 7 kids to vote on names. And I wanted a Quaker woman from Nantucket. And they voted for Patience Starbuck. You heard there was no S on there? Starbuck? Okay, just checking. If you don't have passion about what you do, I think your follow-through is going to evaporate. That is what worries me most about this age of protesters. I've been working on police oversight for the past 3.5 years. I thought it was a 3-month assignment. Silly me. Those who came and demanded it were many. Those who come, just like Quakers do, here and there, and I've been in maybe 20, 25 public meetings. Nobody, other than one person, has been at all of those. And only maybe 3 from those who were there 3.5 years ago are still with me. See, that's going to be the downfall if we have one. I think that one of our testimonies, we don't often honor it, is being an optimist. You cannot be a Quaker and be a drag. You heard me say it right here. You cannot be a Quaker and be a drag. You have to be an optimist. But that's where our Achilles heel is. That we'll get all riled up about something and then it will evaporate. You know how Wait means. My patience is passionate, but my passion must also be patient. And I think that's why the Spirit let my kids vote that name in. Because she is not patient, but she surely is passionate. She's an abolitionist and she's a suffragette. And she is a hard woman. I love hard women. That's how my mother was, that's how my grandmothers were, that's how my 2 favorite aunts were. You knew where you stood with them. Their lines were very clear. Their love was very deep. Those two must go together, I believe, if you're going to be a follower of Jesus. And I prefer to call myself a follower of Jesus other than a Christian, because too much corruption has gone into that word Christian. Things that Jesus would be repelled by. My producer gave me 3 fingers 2 minutes ago, which means that she's giving me 1 finger. I will see some of you tomorrow, and I thank you for your patience. And I hope it was also passionate.